This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Autry James from the Training Committee, and I'm the moderator for this afternoon's presentation on the annual report forms for the Department of California. That's being presented by the Department Adjutant, Paul Brown, and one of the headquarters staff, Erica Alcorn. Before we get started, just a quick reminder to everyone, in the online meeting format, it's much easier if everyone makes sure that you mute your microphones during the presentation. Now, at the end of the presentation, the formal presentation, we'll open it up so that folks can ask questions. I realize that that's very important to some folks to get their specific questions answered and to clarify what's being presented. In addition to all of that, just a reminder, we are recording this, and this will be placed on the California American Legion website either later on today or tomorrow. So that will be available. All right, so Paul and Erica, you guys go ahead and take it away.
Okay. Well, first of all, everyone, welcome. I really appreciate all the people attending because after having been a post adjutant myself for about 5 years, I can tell you it's one of the most thankless jobs that anyone can sign up for in the Legion. No matter what, it seems to be your fault, but at the same time, you have to keep everything correct and accurate, and no matter what's wrong, somehow people are going to blame you for it. So I appreciate everyone taking on that mantle and driving forward. I remember the day when we used to get the spring packets, and what we've tried to do is we've tried to go online with everything to make it more better. Now, whether that has turned out to be more better or not, we're still modifying stuff over time and we're learning. So if something doesn't work as you're trying, please let Erica or myself know so we can fix it, because it's more important for us to have a system that works than for me to feel right or for Erica to feel right. It's our job to be able to serve you, and we can serve you best by everyone turning these forms in. Now, Erica is going to be pretty much driving the bus today because she's the primary point of contact at headquarters dealing with forms, and I want you to get to know her better and also her to say exactly how she wants things done. But in my job, I'm going to be in the background, and I'm going to be kind of the annoying guy that throws in the caveats of the yeah, but, except when there's a yellow coyote on the third hill to the left during a purple moon type of situation. So I get try to avoid doing that as much as I can. But if there's any bigger questions like why don't we do this or why don't we do that, I'm going to be here to kind of jump and assist Erica, maybe to give some of the theory behind of why some of the forms are maybe different than you're used to seeing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. At this point, I introduce you all to Erica Alcorn.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for attending. I'm basically going to give you guys a general synopsis of the forms in a PowerPoint, and then we will touch base on how to fill them out afterwards. So here it goes. Annual report forms. So the forms we're going to be covering are the post data report, the consolidated post report, certification of post officers, certification of post delegates, and financial audit certification. So the post data report, to provide basic information about your post, especially the information below: the dues amount, the post physical address, post contact information, dues mailing address, and the post meeting day and time. Okay. Consolidated post report. The due date is June 1st. The purpose is to assist in the documentation of activities that specific posts complete during the 12-month reporting period, whether it's providing funeral honors, sponsoring youth to attend a Legion program, conducting fundraising efforts, or anything you can think of that can be documented. Nothing is too little or not enough. We just really need you guys to submit those forms. Note, our federal charter requires us to submit an annual report to Congress on our activities for the year. Our national commander delivers this report. The CPR also plays a big factor on requests for National Emergency Fund support, the NEF. Certification of post officers, due June 1st. Reporting dates as officer changes occur. Now for that, anytime an officer changes, we'd appreciate if you guys submit a new form, whether it be the adjutant, the first vice. That way we can have proper documentation here at department. Officially documents officer changes for the purpose of updating department and national records. So it's basically so we can have the proper documentation for department, and we also deliver this to national as well.
Erica, can I jump in with one thing?
Absolutely.
This year with the coronavirus and posts not being able to meet, many posts are either delaying their elections or they're making the decision to continue on with the same officers as their bylaws allow, et cetera. Even if you are keeping the same officers, we are asking that each post submit a new certification of officers as soon as you know who the officers are going to be for the next year. That way we know for sure that that's your plan, because rather than us assuming that you're keeping the same just because you haven't turned in a form.
Certification of post delegates to document the delegates selected by the post. The amount of delegates is determined on the delegate strength date, 45 days prior to convention, and is established at 2 for every post plus 1 for every 50 members or majority of portion thereof on that date. Sorry. Financial audit certification. Now the due date for this is November 15th. The purpose is to conduct an examination of post books. Please note, an annual income expense report shall be submitted with the audit form. Audits shall occur by October 1st and examine the immediately preceding fiscal year of the post per department bylaws. And now the post does, correctly, doesn't the post establish their fiscal year?
Some posts run on a calendar year, which is January through December. It works out best with transition of officers if people use a fiscal year of going July to June, but that's up to each post. It does create a little bit of confusion at our end, keeping track of it when it doesn't go July to June, but that's a decision of each post. Does that answer the question?
Yes, okay. Figured the touch base on that. Now, if it's under $50,000 in your post, 3 post members that are not responsible for handling the post funds can conduct the audit. This means also the commander, the adjutant, and the finance officer are not able to conduct the audit. Above $50,000, the post must have their books examined by a reputable bookkeeper or certified public accountant and attach a copy of their report. Thank you. Now we are going to touch base on how to fill out the forms online. Okay, let's start with, okay, so the post officers. So this is where a lot of people have complications as far as filling out the forms, which I understand. So if you put the post, we fill out the post name. Let's just use Sanger as an example. Post number, we'll say the address 1623. Post 23, okay. District 14, area 3. So let's say today's date. Let's do May. So we're going to pick today's date. I'm just giving you guys an example. That way you guys can understand where the complications come in, because it usually occurs mostly towards the addresses of the officers. So.
Well, while she's filling out this, can everyone see what she's doing in real time? You might want to slow down.
Okay.
Yes, Paul.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Now I won't fill them all in, but I'm going to give you an example. Let's just say, let's go with the adjutant here. So Paul Brown.
You clicked over here, so go back to the screen.
Okay.
Click on the field.
Okay, right here?
No, where the name, you didn't put the name.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Right.
I was trying to show adjutant down here.
Oh,
okay.
I see.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that. Okay, so Paul Brown, let's just give this phone number here. Now, this is a sample. This isn't actually a post 23 adjutant, but I wanted to give you guys the example here. So member ID number.
204-123-456.
Okay. So here's where a lot of the problems come in. So if we put the address here, we're going to put 7th Street. It's best, I've heard that it's best when you guys spell out the word street or avenue. It hasn't been a problem for me, but I know for some people it has been. So here's where the biggest complication comes in. So when you are about to put your zip code, most people put the zip code, but it's so small that they can't see what else they're putting, and they don't click out into the next box. If you don't click out into the next box, which is finance officer, they still have it here and they're typing in other things, but they're not realizing that they're typing in. I've had someone type in another officer's name right here, so Erica, but then they can't figure out why. And when you go to submit down here, I think I might have fixed it by now. Let's see. Okay, so email address. Up here is where the fields would be if something was wrong. Most people fail to actually look up here. They look for the boxes that are in red. Yes, it is in red and it will tell you where there's an incorrect field. However, the best way that I have found to get the answer that you need of what is going on is at the very, very top of every page of every form that you fill out. It'll tell you exactly what's wrong in red up here at the top. So it's letting me know I didn't fill in the incorporated section, which is right here. Post commander, I'm missing the post commander information, everything from their ID to their email address, finance officer, because I didn't fill that in. So if you ever have any questions about what you're missing, it's at the top. But if you can't figure it out, you're more than welcome to give me a call. If it's any time between 8 and 4:30, I will be in the office and I will be more than happy to help you. Here.
You might want to say, does anybody have any questions about this before we move on?
Does anybody have any questions about the certification of post officers forms that I can answer right now? Okay, next we're going to touch base on the certification convention delegates. They're all pretty much the same from here. Anything that you need answered will be at the top of the form, but we can do an example here. Let's do finger.
No, do 23 because that actually has a district in it.
Okay. District 14, area 3. Okay. Let's see here. Entitled delegates to department convention. Your delegate strength. You have the delegate strength. It is available here on the forms section. If you go to calegion.org, you would just hover over the forms section, click on Legion Reports, and it would be right under the delegate convention form. You can click here to see your strength. And it's here. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Okay, back to delegate. Okay, so you can fill in your delegate strength here, your post delegates, the amount you're going to have. Will your post be, at the convention, the delegate fees, which we're not sending in delegate fees at this time. If anything changes, we will let you know. And you have the option to fill in up to 10 delegates. If you needed more, you can select here, and they give you the option for even more.
But here, what do you mean?
I'm pointing to it. Okay, yeah. Okay. There's also an option for alternate delegates and honored guests. And at the end, submit here. Now, same thing stands for here as well. If there is anything that is preventing you from submitting, you can check right here at the top, and it would show exactly what was missing. And like I said, you may always call me, and I'd be more than happy to help you as well. Okay,
Erica,
the post data form. I'm
Erica,
sorry?
before you go on,
Yes.
quick, on that delegate form that you just showed us, I noticed that it has a section for delegates in their own right. So for instance, at my post, I have a past department commander. I, as the adjutant, would need to fill in that information there.
That would be helpful. We have that stuff on record, but it kind of is a double way to remind us. But that would be helpful if someone did that. And I'm glad you pointed that out.
Thank you.
Okay, and just to point it out, it's past department commanders and the past national commander are delegates in their own right. Plus,
district commanders.
I'm sorry, and district
commanders, and I think past department adjutants are delegates in their own right as well.
Yes. Okay.
And area commanders also, right?
Correct. Area vice commanders, yes.
Yep.
Would that be current district commanders?
Yes.
Yes, only the current. And now all the past department commanders for now into perpetuity, as long as they're breathing air on God's green earth, they are a delegate in their own right.
Any other questions?
Yes, this is Mike Burdine. The form, I started to fill in the form yesterday, and here at Newport Harbor, we have more than 30 delegates. And
Yeah, you guys are kind of annoying with your 85 delegates, but that's what I got. I got your email yesterday, Mike. I was just talking to Erica about it before this session. She's going to look for that other form, but in the meantime, for this year, if you just want to put it, because you guys are so super special and the only one that has over 30 delegates, can you put it on an Excel spreadsheet and send it care of adjutant@calegion.org and Erica at calegion.org, and we'll just we'll populate in the fields ourselves until we create a solution. But that way you can check that box and move on.
okay, sounds good.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
You
This
bet.
is
Thank you,
Brianna.
Paul.
Did you cover honored guests?
Not yet. You want to? I'll go ahead and cover that while your honored guest is gosh, how do I do this? People who are not delegates in their own right, but like a good example, someone who is an honored guest in the past would be like Bruce Thiessen is our past national commander, and his wife Grayson, when she attends, she is put down as an honored guest. Also, if you know someone is attending from your area, such as going to be speaking or something like that, or something you need to be aware of that is not a delegate, but is someone that we need to know who's there, put them down as an honored guest. It basically gives us a heads up so we don't look stupid when they're coming up and asking for a badge to go into the meeting.
And she's supposed to be doing her thing.
Excuse me?
So if we had like a Boy Scout getting an award or an oratory person, they would go under honored guest?
That would be a great example. Or if there's someone that you want to have access to the floor during convention, this gives them the credentials to be able to walk past the Sergeant at Arms. Whatever you're eating, I want some too. Any more questions regarding honored guests?
Paul, did you have a question?
No, just observing.
Okay. Moving on, post data form. And by the way, thank you for everyone who participated in helping us receive as many of the post data reports as possible. We were able to land all posts with their post data reports. So thank you for that.
And Erica, is that the first time we've gotten 100% and that we can remember?
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe.
Woo!
Yes. So that's exciting news. Okay, so post data form, you would put your post name. If you're unsure of your post name, there is an option to click so you can verify. You can also verify with My Legion if you are registered as well.
Do you want to go and just show them what happens when they click there?
Yes, click here. Now you can do this with the legion.org, and you would type in the city of your post here, and then the state, or you can type in just the zip code. Either one would work fine. And search. And here it is. So post 23 in Sanger, the actual name is William Lee Netzer. And so that's what you would type into your post data here. Post number is 23. 14, area 3.
And they should be using their formal name on all their forms, correct?
Yes,
okay.
Please always use the formal name. Just use, let's say, 40. Oh, it's not working.
Your number lock.
So let's see here. Give me one second. My number lock is not working out. So I'm gonna just, let's say I had to put 40 right there. I'm not sure as to why. not working. The effective date, we'll put today's date is the 17th.
I can try now.
Okay. 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 Post phone number. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Awesome. Okay. Post phone number 559. I'm going to put department here for now. 975-8387. Now, it should fix, then in the box, it should fix the format for you. I know there was a lot of issues going on as far as inputting the post phone numbers or the emails. It was giving issues. If it does for some reason and it's not letting you bypass, just give me a call and I will fix it. I'm not, there's always going to be something, with the internet that kind of will cause problems every now and then, and I apologize for that. I will do my best to fix it if I can. Otherwise, I will do my best to take your information and submit it for you. The post email. If you don't have an email, just the simplest thing to do is just put no at email. Oh, here it goes slow. Okay, no at email.com, and it'll just let us know that you don't have an email for the post, and it'll let you bypass it'll let you skip to the next question. So the post meeting day. So whatever day it is that you guys meet, you would put, like, let's say the first Wednesday of the month. You can just type that in and it'll accept your answer. Post meeting time, let's just say it's at noon. Post website. If you do have a post website, you may include it here in this section. If you don't, you do not have to put anything. The post physical address, let's see. Okay, 1601 7th Street. Sanger, California, 93657. Now, as I had mentioned before, keep in mind the zip code is what has been a lot of the issues, so just make sure you only put the actual numbers of the zip code, nothing extra, or it won't let you go through. Does your post annual dues get mailed to a different address other than the post physical address? If it does, it'll give you an option here to include the post mailing address. Now, if the dues get mailed somewhere else, please include this in here because we need that. That is very important for us to provide to national.
It gets printed on your members' renewal notices, and so those renewal notices are going to go where either it's going to default to the physical address unless you put the post mailing address, such as a PO box.
Now, some of the time your dues get mailed to a home address, and if they do, please include the actual, it asks you again for the address of the member, and then it'll give you an option down here. Let's see. It'll also want you to provide their actual ID number as well. If you are sending this, again, to a home address from somebody at the post, you need to include their ID number as well.
I think, Marilyn, you were doing this for a while for a post, and you were listed, but it always listed your name as well as your address when it may in the records, correct?
Correct.
Below are some of the questions that we ask. We also use this for other references here at the department. Okay, so we also, is there any questions so far? Does anybody have anything you want me to back up on?
I have a question. Excuse me, Erica, would you elaborate on the importance of this form?
Absolutely. Okay, so with the post,
reason I ask because some posts think if they fill out the certification of officers and put that information in, they feel that they don't have to do this form.
Oh,
no.
This is more important than this. I hate to say this, but this is probably more important than the post certification of officers because of the fact that this is where it determines how your dues get sent.
Yes. So,
right.
Like, for example, if a post dues mailing address is not up to date or you guys do not include that, it can cause failure to receive members' dues, a lack of correspondence between members, post, headquarters. It can cause failure to receive the post dues, definitely. Therefore, it can cause, basically what I would think in my mind is how I think of it as, like, it causes a domino effect in several ways, which including like the ability for the members to renew. So it causes a lack of renewal, which is basically going to cause a drop in our membership retention, We lose valuable donations that way. Poor communication between posts, members, headquarters. There's a lot of reasons why this is very important. I can also provide an outline at the end, and if you guys want that, I just request it and I'll send you an email with the outline at the end and why things are important.
And Erica, is it possible that maybe we could also put that outline online when we put up this presentation?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Erica. I just wanted to stress that because prior to last year, this form was not as detailed as it, and a lot of posts did not fill it out. They didn't fill it out, they didn't submit it. So that's why I ask you to stress the importance of it. One other question I have is, are you saying that if your post has no email, that you just type no@email.com in there? Or is that just an example?
Yes. So just if there is no email, just type in no@email.com and it'll let you go on to the next question, and I'll know that there's no email for that post.
So is this used for the directory? This is what you take everything into the directory? Yeah, see,
Yes.
that's the thing.
When you say directory, you mean the department roster we create?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, because there was many blanks this year in that directory, and I'm sure it's because they never filled out this form.
Absolutely. And that sounds like Paula Bibby.
It is Paula Bibby.
Good. Marilyn touched on something that I kind of want to expand on, and the fact that this used to be a much shorter form, but we included a whole bunch of questions, which Erica is about to go into it in a little more detail. The reason we include those is because those answers we use when we promote your post to members of the administrative post, Post 1000, the ones who have recently joined, and letting them know what type of activities, like whether or not you have sons, auxiliary riders, and basically establishes an activity level for the post. And based upon the answers, establishes up to a 5-star rating for your post. That way people know whether they're joining an active post or one that may not be so active. Be advised, don't try to fudge your information, because most people join based upon geography regardless. But if someone really wants to join a riders thing, then they're equal distance from one that has a riders and one that doesn't. This allows them to make that choice.
Hey, Erica, I have a question from someone about this particular form. And the question is for that certification of officers. Oh, I'm sorry, it's for certification of officers. There's a field for installation date. If the installation date has been postponed due to COVID, can they leave the field blank, or should they put in the current year?
At this point, we just want to know who your officers are going to be, and the sooner we get that information, the better. We don't need to wait until the officers are officially installed to get this information. I would say fill in that field to the best of your knowledge. Okay, and I'm sure the installation police are not going to be enforcing and running around the state this year, so we just need to get the information.
So
if that field is,
if a post is staying in place, and then they can just list all of the officers that are staying in place, and then just pick the date this year, you know, as of June.
Absolutely. They could use today's date, and like I said, we're just trying to get the information to make sure that the roster is correct, make sure the information on My Legion is correct, and make sure the National has the correct contact information in case any problems come up, that both Department and National can get a hold of the leaders of the posts so that we can get the best answers to issues.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, this is Cockrell. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I want to stress how important this form is. Years ago, the California roster had us, my post is $40, but I was only getting $35 from the members. Going on My Legion and looking at the information in National, it was listed as 35. I had to go to the adjutant and say, do I have to submit a new form? He said, no, he corrected. So this is a very important form for not only the roster, but also for National.
Thank you. Okay.
You want to go over these questions?
Yeah.
Do you want me to cover this up, or do you want to?
Okay.
Okay. Going here at the top, what we're asking is, we, meaning your post, you own, run, rent, or control the use of your own building. Basically, we're trying to establish whether or not you have a physical presence in your community at a post, whether it's at a veterans hall or you own a structure. But like, for example, if you met at IHOP, then you would write no. But it's someplace where you can hold events that support your programs. So that's kind of like the difference between the yes or no on that. I'm going to go through these things, and if you guys have questions, why don't we cover the questions at the end if I haven't covered it. We have a liquor license at our post building, yes or no. Now, what this pretty much means is, do you have a lounge? And we're kind of very careful about how we word that. But for example, there's some posts that actually share the same building with a VFW. It doesn't matter to us whether or not the lounge is under your name or the VFW's name or however it's done. It's just we're trying to get this information out so that people who like for example, someone who's if there's 3 posts within the 2-mile radius of a person and they're a recovering alcoholic, they may choose to join a post that's active but doesn't have a bar. So we're kind of just trying to give them information. And this is the best way for us to do that, is just answering yes or no if there's an operating liquor license that operates within the building that you meet at. For example, though, if you met at IHOP, just because an IHOP has a liquor license, you would be writing no. Does that I hope that makes sense. Facebook page, that's pretty straightforward. And we're not asking if you have an active Facebook page, but do you have a Facebook presence? And of course, technology is changing, especially when it comes to social media. And probably 3 years from now, probably within the next year, we're probably going to say this: do we have a social media presence? Because Facebook might get so outdated. And I've never tweeted or Instagrammed anything, but I'm sure Erica has. And generationally, things are going to change over time, where people, just what was that thing like MySpace? No one ever talks about MySpace anymore, but it was the rage 10 years ago. Number 4, do you have an American Legion auxiliary unit? Basically, does your post support that? Now, the American Legion Auxiliary is a separate organization. They can exist separate from a post, unlike the Sons of American Legion and American Legion Riders. Those are programs and have to be attached to a specific post. But this number 4 is a yes or no there. 5 is a yes or no regarding the Sons of American Legion squadron. In other words, do you have that program at your post? They're not asking if you have Sons of the American Legion at your post, because, for example, you may have an American Legion member who's also a member of Sons, but he might be a member of a squadron that's in a neighboring town because you don't have a squadron. Okay, the same thing with American Legion Riders. If you do not have a chapter that's assigned to your post with the same number as your post, then the answer is no. Just because you have riders that show up to your lounge doesn't mean that you have American Legion Riders. That's created some confusion over the past with people. Moving on to number 7, do we participate in district meetings? What we believe that one of the characteristics as far as activity is that a post is participating above the local level in the American Legion. And by having people go to district meetings, they're getting information from department, they're getting information from the district, and there's a better flow of information. And that's why we ask this question. And it's a pretty straightforward question. Now, I won't tell everyone which district I'm from, but we have some posts that are notorious for not participating in the district meetings. And while that's unfortunate, it's also a very simple way for people to increase their star rating is by just sending people to district meetings. So that's a yes or no. Number 8 is we engage our community in post activities. I don't want to judge, but if you're saying no to that, you may want to look at what you're doing at your post, because at some level everyone should be able to say yes to this. Everyone should be able to say that they're engaging the community at some point, even if it's selling raffle tickets to the community. Something that at some point you have to have a discussion about something with someone outside the post, and hopefully that you are having post activities that incorporate your local community outside of your membership. So that's the yes or no there. Number 9, we have active programs supporting youth in our community. This is kind of vague, and a lot of the programs that we're talking about here are actually Americanism program as opposed to children and youth. But do you sponsor the oratorical contest? Do you sponsor Boys State? Do you support a Boy Scout troop? Anything that engages the youth of the community. If you offer scholarships to graduating seniors before they go to college, scholastic scholarships, that would be a yes. I would say we'll take a yes on just about anything other than we give boxes of rocks to kids to throw off for freeways on cars. It needs to be a productive thing. And yes, I'm joking on that last one. I hope you guys are laughing. Now, number 10, we have active programs supporting active duty military. Now, if you're living in an area that's 100 miles away from your nearest installation, this may be a little more challenging for you to say yes. But for example, if you send care packages downrange when people are deployed, that's a great thing. Most everyone has a guard unit that's close by. Anytime that you do anything such as greeting them when they return from a deployment, to having a barbecue for them, or anything that supports either the active military or active military families, would be a yes in this category. Number 11, we promote and or sponsor Americanism events in our community. Well, a good example of this is, putting up on Memorial Day weekend, putting up flags at grave sites. But are basically anytime that are if you have a program at your post that helps people who are seeking to become citizens of the United States, and helping them go through that path and checking all the boxes they need to check to establish their citizenship. That's another great program that would qualify. There's a lot of great Americanism programs that the American Legion supports in general, and a lot of us even have some programs that are even more unique and not even listed on the national spectrum. I'm trying to think of a great example, and I don't, but I'm sure you guys have them out there. So if you feel you're a yes, then check yes. And again, we're not going to have the yes no police following up on you, but we want everyone to be accurate. And the number 12, the final one says, or no, it's not final, but we have active programs supporting veterans outside the post. Basically is this: if you have a veteran in need in your area or a veteran family, and they contact your post for help or assistance, do you have programs within your post that help that veteran? Or does your post participate in what's called a stand down, where they help homeless veterans, when they come out of the creeks, get showers and this and that and the other? And a lot of communities have these type of things. So anything that supports veterans in general would qualify to be a yes at this thing. And finally, this one is not to establish activity level, but this is a very, 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 very important administrative check mark for the department here, is your post willing to accept for review American Legion members transferred into your post by department headquarters? This is going to allow us to and give us permission from your post to transfer post 1000 members who come and join the American Legion, get put into post 1000. We to give them information regarding your post. They choose a post, and based upon their choice, then we'll place them in there. By you marking yes, that gives us permission to do that. If you do not want this, and we have about 5 posts in the department that do not want this, and it doesn't make sense to me either, I understand, but they've marked no for whatever reason, and so be it. if your post has just like restrictions, for example, if there's posts that because they're law enforcement based or that people had to work at a company at one point. Heck, there's even a post I know back in Indiana that you have to be a doctor or a dentist to be a member of that post. I know, it doesn't make sense to me either. But anyway, but this allows, if you have something like that, just let us know what that restriction is, and we'll include that in the information that we give to potential members. That way they know whether they're eligible with that added restriction to whether they can come in or not. At this point, we've covered a lot in these 13 questions here. What are your questions? I'm hoping there's some, because I really would like to delve into that if you guys can.
So if you pay for active duty members, would that be considered program supporting active duty military?
Sounds good to me. You know,
Okay.
we're not judging these things. We're not judging the quality of your program. We just want to know whether or not you're doing it, because when the American Legion markets itself, it says that we're doing all these things in the community. And so if your post is doing that and doing what we say that we're doing in the community, then we're going to give you a rating that kind of lets people know that, yeah, you're a top-notch post if you're doing all these things.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Go ahead. Yes, I can.
Yes, it's a question about with the Americanism. It might be nice if there was a breakdown in there of a few of the categories regarding whether the post under Americanism has a baseball team or has a boys state and girls state, because there are some parents that maybe the post that they would think might be sponsoring their school is just choosing not to do boys state. So they'll probably be getting on your website looking for the closest post that would do that program. So just a suggestion for the future.
We'll look into that.
Thank you.
Yes.
Paul? On
Yeah.
the writers' question, I know that some of the writer groups have district designations, which means that they represent more than one post in their writers group. So I would suggest that if you have a district writers group assigned to your post, you also check yes on the American Legion Writers one.
I think that's a great thing. And as a note, with this is where I cringe and one eye goes open and one eye goes shut and go, yeah, that's probably something that, and I've discussed this with writers leadership, that over the course of time that needs to be addressed, because it creates issues inherent within the system as far as oversight. And it's the writers is a post level program, and over time I'm hoping that we can kind of get those issues cleaned up, but it's not going to happen this year, I can tell you that much. Any more questions? Erica, why don't you continue on, and thank you for your patience with us.
Paul?
Gene, go ahead. Or whoever's speaking, go ahead.
A quick question about transferring the post 1000s.
Yes.
If you find that the member that's being transferred is ineligible, how do we back them out of the Legion? Because they're not checked through the national registration.
Well, here's the thing. Typically, you're going to find less than 3% of people that join through that method are ineligible. And that's based on statistics that are nationwide. And that probably is, if I remember as a post adjutant, we had many more than that wanting to join the posts that were ineligible. So it's still a good source to get them. If you find someone that is ineligible, please let us know, and we'll they need a letter from the department, but we'll let them know to cancel the membership. And as far as, I just want to put this caveat here, if you have access to your My Legion porthole, log on there and under on the left side where it says reports and forms, and you click post on the bottom of the
Paul, you're
page.
breaking up.
I'm sorry. On the page for under post, when you click post, it will give you what's called a transfer report, and then if you select the dates, will give you everyone who's transferred in and out of your post for the time period you select.
Okay, I'll double check that one. But most of what you just told me, you broke up. I didn't get it.
Okay. Is there a particular part that
Thank you.
and by the way, anything about this meeting that wasn't clear, feel free to call us or email me is probably best. That way I can respond to it in more detail rather than missing a phone call. But again, adjutant@calegion.org.
Okay, I'll take care of that. Thank you.
Can you say that again? You said it really fast.
Adjutant, ADJUTANT @CALEGION.org. It's like I used to say Cal Legion, but then people thought there was 2 L's in it, so it's CA Legion. It's probably the best way to remember our website.
And I also put it in the chat feature, ladies and gentlemen. If you open that up, you'll see I put the adjutant's email address. And if you scroll up, you'll also see that I put in the link to where you can find these forms on our website.
Oh, thank you, Audrey.
Thank you. Okay. Once you've completed all the questions, at the very bottom, submitted by, it says is flexible. We understand that some of the post adjutants, commanders, some of them are not too computer savvy, and that's perfectly fine. We just need someone to submit this. If they have the answers and they have the correct answers, you can just fill it out. There's an option here after you put your name. Here, submitted by position. There is an option for other. Now, if it's someone's granddaughter, grandson, or someone who's submitting and they have, let's say their grandfather sitting right here with them, then that's okay to obviously put, the submitted by name would be the adjutant, the position would be adjutant, and then the ID number. Now, if someone like me who's staff, and when I submit for someone else on their behalf, I put my name, I put other, and then I put my auxiliary ID here. So any ID is fine, auxiliary, sons, adjutant, or I'm sorry, department or TAL is fine.
And when it says TAL, that means American Legion.
The American Legion. I'm sorry, your American Legion member ID number is fine as well. The submitted by email, erica@calegion.org. Now, when you put the email, whoever's email you put in any of the forms submitted by, you're going to get a copy of the form. The only one who will not get a copy unless you include their email at the bottom would be the district adjutant right here. You have to make sure you include their email. If you don't know their email, it is also available on the website. It is actually under contacts, and then you go to district leaders, and that's where you'll find their information, phone number, and email address.
But there's also a link on that page that they can go to.
Yes. Click on that as well.
Erica, this is Marilyn Rideau. Is there any chance that you could make the district adjutant email mandatory?
Well, that's been a debate, and here's if causing them to leave this page means that they don't turn it in, I'd rather get the information and then we could share that with the adjutant, as opposed to people who are less functioning. Every time they leave a page without submitting it, there's a chance they're not going to be able to find their way back.
I understand.
Yeah.
It's just, I spend a lot of time tracking down paperwork that posts tell me, oh, I already submitted that. But department says they don't have it. Well, I don't know why, because I submitted it to them. But see, if I have a copy, I can always walk a copy in.
True. But what I would suggest them is anytime they say that they submitted it when we don't have a record of it, to say, okay, well, did you get a verification of your submittal that got emailed to you? Email that to me, because a lot of people say they submitted it, but they never actually pressed the submit button, and we never received it. So regardless, if it's not showing up on the administrative compliance report, it needs to be put in.
Question, can we have the drop down for the email addresses for the district leaders, district adjutants, instead of having to go search for it?
Yes, it's actually right here, just below where it says district adjutant's email. It says click here. You can click here, and it's going to take you to, 1 second. Sometimes it takes a while to load. There it is.
But
and
is there a way to
take you,
drop down?
Oh, sure.
And not without creating a lot of extra work, because that information changes from year to year, and changing the drop down could create excessive work.
Okay.
Okay, and one of the easiest ways for a district adjutant to be able to tell if their post submitted is just to go to the compliance report. And if they do have a check or they have something in that box and you do not have a copy, you can email me and I will send you a copy of the form that was submitted as well. Is there any other questions on the post data report? Okay, next we have the CPR, which is the Consolidated Post Report. Now, for that, I have a different type of access to the CPR than you guys, so I'm going to use a fillable one, but let me show you where to find it first. You would find it on the State Legion website with the rest of the forms, and you would click on Consolidated Post Report.
And you also can access this through your My Legion portal, and that one, if you enter all your changes there, will automatically update in real time, as opposed to anything that you fill out on the fillable. It would be sent to us, forward to national, and then whenever someone has time to input the data, it gets inputted.
So for most of you, you would click on the Consolidated Post Report, and it's going to take you to mylegion.org. And it would ask for your login information. However, I don't have that type of login information. So what I would do, and for those who would rather have a PDF where they can actually handwrite it in or fill it in, you would click here on click here for the PDF. And it would open up here. Now, I have a fillable version to give you guys an example so we can walk through it together now. So you would fill out the CPR as follows. You put the department, California, post, the number of the post. We're going to use 23 as an example. That's District 14. Now you would get your final membership count from 2019. So whatever the membership count was, let's say it was 85.
And the best way to find that is go to your goal on the current membership report, subtract 1 from that, and that's going to be your total members for the previous membership year.
Did everybody get that? Okay. City, Sanger, State, California. Now, for some reason, the CPR, which is the Consolidated Post Report, that's what I have on my screen. It's one of the things that are difficult to get you guys to, not you guys, but to get the post to turn in. So just keep in mind that some answers are better than no answers. We just want this form in. If you don't have too many of these activities on there, that is okay. Even if it's a 0 or a no, we just need this in there. We need this turned in, please. And just understand that also it can be anything that you feel needs to be noted. Let's say a post gives free lunches to low-income veterans. Your post gave $50 to a needy family with children. Your post collected masks for healthcare workers or free brown bag lunch giveaways. Those all count, for example. And you know, those cover several questions on the CPR from the TFA to the community service. So just keep that in mind. We appreciate all submissions. Just please submit. I can't emphasize it enough. And if you can fill this out, so number of cases handled by a service officer. It has different categories for the VA&R, Veteran Affairs, and Rehabilitation. Is there anything you want to touch on, Wally?
No, it's pretty straightforward. And even if you filled out 10% of it or even 5% of it, fill out what you can when you can. You can start submitting this anytime after, I think, October. And if you just update it and press submit, it will automatically update what you did if you're doing it online. But even if you send it in the form to us by mail to us, they will update it back there. But here's the thing: having 5% of this information completed, like Erica said, it's better than none. And don't think that your post has to be having activities in every one of these categories. They're writing this so that all posts can put all of their activities in. And as you know, even within your own district, there's some posts that are known for doing some things and other posts are known for doing others. And we all don't do the same things just because all of our communities are different. So don't feel that you're obligated to put something in every line.
Hey, Paul.
Yes.
Just real quick, for everyone on here, I put in the chat feature the actual web address so that you can go to My Legion. You use your normal post login, and then you'll look on the left-hand side and you'll find it. It'll say Consolidated Post Report. Click on that. And like Paul says, as soon as it becomes available, I, as the adjutant for my post, I go in and start filling it out. And that way I know that every year I'm going to be submitted, even if I forget, later on in the year, I'm going to be submitting something. And that's the easiest way to keep track of this. I know some people wait until the very end, but I find that it's just way easier to just start and keep updating as you go.
That's great advice, Audrey. Thank you.
Thank you.
So
I do have a question on that. Now, if, let's say you have a pints question up near the top. Now, if I do this in December and they donate 10 pints, and then I do this in May, and they donate another 15 pints, do I put in 15? I do the 10 in December. Do I do 15 in May, or do I do 25 in May?
That's a great question. I would put 25 because they're going to update the slot, just the category. They're not going to know whether or not you're adding or subtracting or multiplying. So whatever you want the answer to be on the final one, that's what you put in there on your update. Now, if you don't have information, correct me if I'm wrong, Audrey, but when you pull your thing open, it has your old answers down there, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're just updating whatever you put in there before.
Okay, so I would change a 10 to a 25 in that case then.
Very much so, yes. Thank you. That's a great question.
I have a question too. So we have a county veteran service officer who's also our post-veteran service officer. Do we count how many cases he does as a county veteran service officer?
You can.
Okay.
But obviously you're going to have to get that information from them. I think that's the purpose of it. I don't think everyone is as fortunate to have the county veteran service officer also be their post service officer.
Right.
Let me put in a caveat. This is probably a good place to insert this information. Your post and district service officers, unless they're also accredited service officers, should not be submitting claims on behalf of people, but they should be assisting people knowing getting what information they need together when they do talk to an accredited service officer to get that file claimed.
Okay.
Is that, I don't know if that makes any sense, but we had a situation last year where we had a member of the post submitting claims on behalf of veterans, claiming to be an accredited American Legion service officer, and wasn't, and it created a little bit of issue. I guess I'll just leave it there. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yes, this is Mike Burdine again, the troublemaker. So it's the fundraising and some of the other financial numbers. Does that include Sal or Sons as well as Legion activities?
I guess that's all in how you guys report it. For example, you have a fairly large squadron down there in Newport, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, I mean, I think it's somewhere in the 500 to 1,000 member range, right?
Actually, 1,500.
Okay, there you go.
Wow.
Underestimating you again, Mike. But I know that they have their own consolidated squadron report that they fill out. And my advice to you is if they're claiming it on their squadron report, I don't know. Let me follow up with you on that, but I don't think it's fair to double dip, because I think at the national level they take the SAL stuff as a program and combine it with the numbers, and I think that might inflate the numbers if we do it that way.
Okay, yeah, that makes perfect sense, Paul. Thanks.
Any other questions?
Post data reforms and all that stuff.
Oh, by the way, as a note on that last thing, there's some squadrons that do not fill out a consolidated squadron report, and of course, it'd be nice if they did. But if your squadron is not functional enough to do that, then it'd probably be a good idea for you to include it with your posting, so at least it gets recorded somewhere. But as much as you can, try to assist your squadron to be functional enough to put in their own consolidated squadron report.
Any other questions? Okay. Now on this form here, if you do the PDF, it shows several copies for the CPR Consolidated Post Report. You do not have to necessarily mail the department copy. If you're mailing it to us, you just need to send us the national copy here, because I'm going to forward it to national and we're going to keep it here on file. So you don't have to worry about going out and making several copies, because I know a lot of the times the posts are worried about getting these copies in and they only have the one, and that's totally fine. We just need the one, and from there I can even make copies if you guys need that.
But listening to Marilyn, I'm sure most of the district adjutants would appreciate the district copy being sent to the district adjutant, because I think they have a responsibility to provide that information to the district commander, and because the district commander is responsible to have that stuff ready by convention. I think the district adjutant, Marilyn, correct me if I'm wrong, is kind of the primary organizer of that information for the district commander.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
You just mentioned the district copy. It's my understanding there is no district copy. There's a national, a department, and a post copy.
Hold
is
on,
there a requirement to send this to the district?
You know what? I'm sure. Here's the thing: if you're sending it to national, go ahead and send your department copy to the district, because I'm sure they'd appreciate it. But it's not. And the thing is, here's the thing: in our bylaws, in the department, there's requirements that the district commander is supposed to compile this information, and we all know that. And we all love our commanders, but a lot of times it's the adjutant that actually bears the brunt of getting this stuff together. Am I right, Marilyn? Please say yes.
Absolutely. You see me going crazy.
Well, like I said, the adjutant is the job where pretty much everything, all the records of the post, our district, our department, and all the functionality pretty much relies upon the adjutant to kind of be that continuum to allow the direction of the commander, which usually gets replaced a lot more frequently than adjutants do. So there you go. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on in case, unless there's more questions.
One more question. So if we're submitting it through the mylegion.org portal,
You're fine. Just press submit.
You don't need to do anything.
What about the district?
The district can access it if you submit it through the My Legion portal. In fact, but the thing is, here's the thing: if you mail it in, and it goes back to national, or you go to department, and we mail it in, it goes back to national, and it could sit on a desk for a little bit of time, and you don't know. If you put it into the My Legion portal, it gets registered immediately, and then not only department but also the district has an opportunity to review that CPR. So I would strongly encourage everyone to submit it online. That being said, I understand that not all adjutants are computer savvy. I'm sure you guys all are because you're on the computer watching this now. But for those of you who are assisting maybe a post in your district that isn't, however we get it, we're happy to get it. But we prefer to have it online because it makes it simpler. But whatever it needs to get the job done, we'll take it.
So Paul,
Yes.
if we sponsored 9 Boys for Boys State and we paid the money and then it was returned to us, do we still include how much the cost was?
That's an excellent question. I don't have an answer. I would probably keep it at what the real costs were. But if it's an ongoing program of the post, I could see it also being fair, saying that you have this level of commitment, even if the money didn't actually get spent that year. But I don't have a good answer for you on that. But I would hate to think that we're presenting this information to Congress and we go, hey, we spend this much every year, and then they go, wow, you had a big dip last year. I guess the commander could say, well, COVID-19, but that's about it. But
there's so many, even baseball too.
Go ahead.
I mean, we sponsored a baseball team and then it didn't happen. And so how are we supposed to do it this year?
I think that's a good question, and I can get back to you on that. But I think it's fair to go either way. Is whether if your post has a commitment that you maintain, I think that's a fair way to do it to show consistency. But if your post doesn't feel comfortable doing that because the money wasn't spent, I think that's a fair route to go too. I don't have a good answer for you.
Okay, so we kind of need pretty much right for all that.
Excuse me?
I said, so we kind of need an answer for all of that pretty much right away.
Well, I would say create that answer at your post level and drive on.
Okay.
Because we're not going to get a definitive answer from national on it either.
Okay.
But I can call and get back to you. I just don't have an answer. I don't feel comfortable being an authority on that because I don't have the correct answer on it because I can see it being either way.
Okay.
This is Cockrell. On
Dave,
Boise
go ahead.
State. Can I go ahead?
One way of looking at
Yes,
it
Dave, go ahead.
is taxes. Because you claim it, you also have to look at how your chapter is going to claim its taxes too.
Oh, all right. Hey,
Yes,
on Boise
that is a
State,
consideration.
on Boise State, I do have a problem. We've spent $1,725. I do have a check, but I'm not Larry Cockrell, so there's no way of cashing the check.
Well, the best way to do that is either mail it back to us with instructions on how to change it or email me. But it'd be great for us to get that check back so we can cancel it, or at least let us know what the check number is. But we can easily deal with that through communication on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Okay, I'm not concerned. I just wanted you to know that I'm not Larry Cockrell.
I'm concerned. I want you to have your money.
All right. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. And I just want to touch one more time as far as online submissions. Online is the best way to submit the forms. It's easy for us to keep track. It's easy for you guys to keep track and receive a copy for your district. So I just want to remind everybody about submitting online. But if you can't and you'd like to learn or you're just not sure, you can always call me Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30, and I can walk you through it. I can from step by step. I know some people are a little intimidated by doing this online, and I am very patient. I will sit there and I will teach you how to do it because once you learn it, it's simple. So anybody who needs assistance in that, feel free to contact me and I will help you.
Okay, just this is Cockrell again, just so everyone knows, I download a fillable CPR, and that was how I was able to do a post by having it transferred to my phone, and we talked it through. And of course, Paul Brown knows that I submitted it via the phone because I had a blank fillable.
Yep. Yeah, we'll take it any way you send it. I mean, if you can get it here by carrier pigeon, we'll take it.
Yep.
One thing I want to put out right now is we're not really covering a lot of the district and area forms, but pretty much the same stuff that Erica covered there applies to those forms as well. The only form at this point that has not been required is the last one under district forms with the National Convention delegates. That's because the National Convention for this year is being voted, and being canceled. They're not conducting any voting. Now, the reason why our department post-certification of delegates is still due is because we're still kind of working out exactly how that's going to be happening and whether or not we're going to be conducting some form of elections this year. And our the certification of delegates is going to help us establish what that number is, and because we have to follow the bylaws as they stand until we get better information. And while I have you on the phone, I'm hoping that all of you have received a blue ballot in the mail that arrived with a cover letter kind of explaining the initiative ballot. What occurred was the DEC voted by a 2/3 vote to put a question to the post to change the bylaws to allow the DEC to make decisions regarding department convention during times of emergency. This would allow our bylaws to be changed, and it's one of the caveats of our bylaws of how to change it, but it's really important that we get responses from everybody. So far last week, we received 58 out of 426 responses, and we need to keep that train chugging along until we get enough responses to be able to qualify the ballot one way or another. And again, I'm not telling you how to vote. We just need the responses so we can qualify the initiative one way or the other.
And just for clarification, it didn't go out to individuals, it went out to your posts. So every post should get a ballot. If you did not receive a ballot or your post has not yet received a ballot, I suggest you contact the adjutant because that could also mean that they have your mailing address, something wrong in your mailing address.
And just so everyone knows, it was sent to the address that's on record to receive your dues, not your physical address.
This is Cockrell. Just so you know, we just got our notice the other day. So that's why you haven't seen anything for post 197 because we just got it.
Yeah, I'm not driving around a truck with a bunch of hooligans to collect them. We have till the 19th to get the stuff back. But do me all a favor and send it in as soon as possible so I don't have to start getting staff calling people just to make sure we get it sent in. As much as we can, we're relying upon everyone to kind of do this as quickly as possible so that I can provide some direction to the DEC about what their options are.
Paul, as of yesterday, Post 419 in Santa Clara has not received the packet.
Okay, do me a favor. If it doesn't come in tomorrow's mail, can you email me the information? And then, and anyone, if you haven't received it by Monday at the address where you get your dues, send me an email and we'll get a duplicate ballot sent to you.
Will do.
Okay, thank you.
This is Marilyn Rideau. Something's kind of sticking in my crawl space right now. Talking about the CPR, I heard either you or Erica mention, well, maybe both of you, that if you do it on mylegion.org, the district commander and adjutant can access it. I'm gonna have to go check that because in October, I told you were in the 4th area visiting, and I told you that I could not do a transmittal on My Legion, and I could not do a member data form on My Legion. And I looked and I checked and I checked and checked. The bottom line is district adjutants don't have access to a lot of the stuff that a post adjutant or commander would.
Right, like you can't change information, et cetera, et cetera. Right.
I can't do a transmittal. I cannot do a member data form. So I'm not sure that I'll be able to see that CPR.
Okay. Well, and again, I don't have district access, you know, it might be good, Marilyn, maybe if you share, if you share your access with me, that way I can get a better idea of what you guys have access to and don't, because I understand what the posts see, because there's some admins out there that have been kind enough to share their login information with me, so I can understand what they're looking at, because our pages are formatted differently at departments of our login than yours are. So anything you're willing to share or let us know on, please do. That way we can give better information.
Okay, I'll do that. I can just change the password after you fool around in it.
Yeah, you don't want me going there and killing people off. I know. Got it.
Any other questions?
Yes, one.
Yes.
When you just, when Paul was just mentioning about there was going to be a change submitted to the bylaws to allow the DEC to do something, it brought this to mind, and I don't know if it's applicable or not, but it might be helpful. At our post, they changed our bylaws to make it so that voting could take place via, quote unquote, via electronic device. So that would include computers or cell phones via texting if they needed to in an emergency like this COVID or something. Would that be helpful to add to the bylaw changes that you were just talking about?
Well, unfortunately, that bylaw change has to occur, has to be initiated by the DEC at a meeting, which, since we've already had two in the last month, I think everyone's inclination to have another one very soon probably isn't there. But I can assure you that there's going to be a lot of changes in the bylaws that are going to be proposed over this next year that kind of help better prepare for this in the future. And I can add that to the list to suggest to Mark and the other people who are going to be going through the bylaws with a fine-tooth comb to help update them for better functionality. But at this point, you know, once those ballots are out and once that decision's made by the DEC, I can't make any changes on it. You know, that would be disingenuous for me to do that.
Oh, sure. Thank you for letting me ask.
No problem.
Any other questions?
Yeah, this is Marilyn. I have one more question. Maybe I missed the answer. I know we discussed certification of delegates. Do we have to send in the delegate fees?
No. At this point, here's the thing. I don't have the ability or authority to waive the fees. Okay, that is up to the DEC. That decision can be made at the next regularly scheduled DEC meeting, which is currently scheduled to occur on the 25th of next month. But I anticipate, based upon everything, that those fees are likely to be waived. That being said, everyone has a credit balance right now at department, and most likely, if the fees aren't waived, we can take it out of your credit balance, just like we can take your $10 fidelity bond out of that $10 or out of your credit balance. So at this point, don't send any money in. Just send in the report, and we'll move forward. If there's a case where a post has no credit with the department and there is a delegate fee charged, I'll deal with that on a post by post basis. But at this point, I don't want to create a bunch of stuff that just needs to be returned in a month to everybody. And we're trying to use a little common sense as we wiggle our way through this COVID-19 fiasco.
Good answer.
Paul, I just want to add, and it came up on our area caucus this morning, that make sure you submit the delegates, even if you're not submitting the fees, but please make sure you submit those delegates. Some people seem confused about that.
Well, if anyone has any questions, if you look at the administrative compliance report, in every district in that column, it says do not send in delegate fees at this time. So that's why we're doing it, because here's the thing. Posts have enough issues right now, and a lot of them, especially with their lounges being closed, money's getting tight. And we didn't want to be an added nuisance on top of that.
Right.
Paul,
Any other questions?
Yeah.
I got that message and your message Friday night, but I sent you the check Friday morning.
You know what? We'll forgive you. If it's all right with you, we're just going to put it in an envelope and send it back to you. Is that all right?
Yeah, because you're using the credit plus the small differential. It's a small
Okay.
check. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Well, what we'll do is I mean, if it's up to you, we can add it to your credit, but I think it's just better for us just to send it back to you, and then we'll and by the way, I'm gonna let everyone know at the end of June, when we switch over our books to start the 2021 membership year, we are going to be sending a check for the remaining balance that's left for every single post, getting it down to zero, or we're going to be sending an invoice for anything that's owed. But we have very, very few posts that actually have money that's owed.
Okay, so Paul, have you guys completed your presentation?
Yeah, we're open for any questions that people have. And by the way, Erica's a great resource. She's very kind, much kinder than me. Like if you want someone to help you with this, you definitely want to get a hold of Erica because she's 10 times less grumpy than me. So and she's really good about filling. When people call up with questions, she'll fill out online for you. Now, granted, if you know how to fill online, please do that, because it's just quicker for you. But any post that is at all confused or has any issues, have them call Erica. It's more important to her to check that box and have that post have it completed than for us to have it hanging out there for one reason or another. We're trying to change the way the department does things and be more service oriented. Because I as a post adjutant, I was very frustrated that if it wasn't perfect, everything just always got kicked back down to me, and that just seems so stupid to me. And I'm trying to make sure that we don't, with that, there aren't people like me thinking that we're stupid. There you go. Yeah, I appreciate the chuckle.
All right, great job, Erica. Hey, as a reminder to folks, I just want you all to think about it, but Erica is a graduate of the California Legion College. Chris Yates and Mike Heckenliebel also. And the National American Legion College application process is open. So if you're interested in attending National American Legion College, you can find that on the legion.org website on the training page. So we're looking for people to apply by July 1. Send your information into the adjutant by July 1. There'll be a process by which they're all vetted. And then at the end, we will know, we will have a selection. We'll have the selection of hopefully 2 individuals who will be representing California back in Indiana later on this year. When I last checked, they do intend on having National American Legion College. So it sounds like it's a go. So if you're interested, please apply.
And the reason why they have a July, they have a July 31st deadline. That's why our deadline in California is July 1st, so that there's an opportunity for a team to select the best qualified candidates, so that we get as many attendees as possible coming from California. Please apply.
You have to complete the California one first?
No.
Not at this time. That may be a requirement down the road, but at this point, it's not a requirement.
Okay.
Okay. Well,
I have a question.
I appreciate everyone giving us their Sunday afternoon for this training. If there's nothing else.
There's a question from Bob, I think.
Yeah, I have a question. Regarding, I think it's on the one of the reports. I don't have it with me. It's if you own the question I think it's on maybe not the post data report, maybe, but if you own, rent, or whatever your facility, the city owns our building, but we have all the VSOs in there. So I usually I had been for the last couple of years, but no, we don't own it and all that or rent.
But that's a physical place, and you have like offices there, and you're maintaining a presence in that building.
Well, we have the meeting room we do for our monthly meetings and our visitors meet, and there's the museum for all the VSOs, and
Right.
there's for the senior, there's a senior meeting place there.
Okay.
So
Well, I would mark that as a yes because you have a location that you're allowed to showcase your programs at, and so I think I would mark that as a yes. And
okay.
again, it's just really hard to phrase the question in a way where people get it. So I understand the confusion, and we're not trying to establish like which post is rich and has a physical location, which one doesn't. We're just trying to see whether or not, like when people drive by, are in that building, are they going to see the American Legion in that building? You know what I mean, on a continual basis.
Right. Okay. But it's it's owned by the city. They have the city rented out for occasions and everything too.
That's great. Good for you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. You bet.
Oh, one more. Erica's phone number. We could probably look it up, but it'd be easier if we
559.
In the directory.
It's 559-875-8387. And then you can just let reception know to transfer you to me, and I'd be more than happy to help. I'll repeat it again, 559-875-8387. My name is Erica.
Perfect. Right. I've gone to the directory before, but if they would, since she's right here, but she's here, just get the phone number. I can write it on my important stuff right now. It's easier.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Paul and Erica, thank you very much for doing this. And I really appreciate everyone coming out or logging on to hear it. So thank you all. And look for notices on future training. All right, everybody have a wonderful Sunday afternoon.
Thank you. You too.
Great
Good.
training.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Very good.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.
Hey, thank